Welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. Y'all know my name's Chad. Take a dive on sports. And here we go. April 18th is the time for the next NHL update as the season is winding down. Teams average about 7 games left in this season. 2 more weeks pretty much to go to figure out who's going to be in, who's going to be out. Who's going to be number one seeds in the conferences. Who's going to be your divisional winner. Who's going to be your President's Trophy winner. There's still a few little, ins and outs kind of determine some of the action for the postseason coming up. But before I dive into all that fun ad madness, if you could just go ahead, smash that thumbs up for me, especially if you like the content I provide you. It really pleases the YouTube gods. Helps promote the channel out. You can also subscribe. Now, many of you subscribe. It costs you a dime. It helps me provide more entertainment value for you. Now, I'm going to go with the East, and this one's going to be pretty quick. It's official. All 8 teams are locked in. So no surprise of the New York Islanders run. That early season struggles. They just couldn't recover from that. Only thing left is to determine of who wins the divisions and who are the wild cards and who's going to be the number one seed in the conference. Right now, Florida leads the charge at 114 points. It's in the top of the Atlantic by 8. And then 10 points over Carolina. Anyways, and New York Rangers, by the way, for the top team, top in the East. So I think Florida's going to have the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. They're still in the running for the President's Trophy as well, as they're only 2 points behind the leader, Colorado. So we'll see how that one kind of turns out. As you know, all year long, Florida has been very dominant at home. So for them getting the number one seed, it's probably look bad for the rest of the conference. Like I said, Toronto's number 2 in the Atlantic. I think they're solid locked there. And I think the top 2 positions in the Atlantic, I think, are pretty much locked. I haven't locked them down just yet. And then the following behind them is Tampa Bay with 100 points. They don't have a 3-point advantage over Boston for that number 3 seed in the Atlantic Division. We'll see how that one kind of plays out since they have the same amount of games. We'll kind of see how those two kind of mirror each other and pretty much mirror each other in terms of records. The past 10, Tampa Bay's been 5-3-2, while Boston's been 5-5. So we'll see how that one kind of plays out. Now for the Met, things are getting a little interesting. Carolina and the New York Rangers are all tied up at 104, same amount of games remaining. But the Rangers right now are on a roll. Their last 10 are 7-2-1, while the Canes have slipped down a bit to 4-5-1. So we'll just kind of see how the Rangers can maybe leapfrog Carolina to become the number one seed or take the Met. And behind them is Pittsburgh with 97 points, and they have a 3-point advantage over Washington for that number 3 position in the Met. So the wild card teams and the number 3 team in the respective divisions are still kind of up in the air, which will kind of dictate the number 1, number 2 wild card to figure out who's going to visit the Metropolitan winner and Florida. That's basically for the East. So it's going to be a fun race, kind of see who's going to jockey for what position and kind of go from there. Now out west, Colorado's king. They have locked up the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. They're like I said before, they're 2 points ahead of Florida in terms of the President's Trophy. I don't see them doing anything differently because right now them and St. Louis are the top 2 teams right now in the Western Conference, both 9-0-1 and winning 9 in a row. The Blues are now have 102 points at number 2 in the Central. And they have come on strong and battled back. And I thought Minnesota found their little pieces to solidify the number 2 position, and well, that kind of withered away. So Minnesota right now is number 3 at 101. So that second and third seed for the Central is still up in the air. And there's no denying that these 3 will be the top 3 in the Central Division. So no qualms there. I'll get to the wild cards in a minute. We'll go over to the Pacific Division. Calgary's the only one that has clinched their position at 101 points. They haven't quite clinched the division yet. Right behind them is Edmonton at 94. And right now they're on an amazing run at 8-1-1. The Kings right behind them. They're starting to struggle a bit, and that's probably going to cost them a little bit later, as they're number 3 in the Pacific and 90 points. Now we're going to go into the wild card because they have conferences both the Kings and the rest of these members. The two wildcard teams right now are Dallas and Nashville, both at 91 points. Dallas has one more game than Nashville, so it makes things a little more interesting. And a couple teams are still somewhat in the hunt. You got Vegas at 87, 4 points behind Dallas and Nashville, but only 3 points behind LA for the number 3 in the Pacific. So there is some pathway for the Golden Knights to get back in the postseason. And right now they're doing extremely well. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10, so I can see them making a nice, decent run and maybe slipping past the Kings, but I kind of like the Kings' chances in this one. Behind them is Vancouver at 84. So the Canucks also have a chance to sneak in there. And way on the outside looking in will be the Winnipeg Jets, sitting there with 81 points. I think for Winnipeg, you just might as well just toss them off to the side. I don't see them really having much of a shot getting into that postseason. They'll make it interesting, much like Ottawa and Buffalo are doing, playing spoilers, winning games they shouldn't be winning, and giving teams a hard time that shouldn't be given a hard time, especially this past over the weekend with Ottawa and Toronto. And Toronto had to go to OT. I mean, really? But looking at the scenarios, Vancouver has like a 10% chance of getting in, but Winnipeg is at a -1 or under 1%. So, like I said, you can also cross them off. It was really hard to determine, kind of see where teams are kind of go land off. But it's like I said, it's going to be a fun time, especially these upcoming games that should provide a lot of exciting, nail-biting action. They'll probably give us a little bit of a playoff preview, almost a playoff-esque style games, because the regular season is starting to dwindle down and teams are trying to fight for position. The key one, especially for Monday on the 18th, will be Dallas and Vancouver. I think this is going to be Vancouver needs to win this one to really keep the pressure on. Also, Vegas also be in action, so they need Dallas to lose and them to win to kind of help their position out a lot. On the 19th, the big game there, I think, is going to be the Battle of LA with the Kings and Ducks. Ducks have nothing to play for, but they're still a very dominant franchise in especially that area, and they're going to give the Kings everything they can handle. Once again, the Canucks are in action again, taking on those pesky Senators. I have a feeling Vancouver may lose that one. Also, the Rangers will be hosting the Jets, so that could be the Jets swung on, and the Rangers looking to trying to get them a good position to take the lead in the Met. Wednesday action, Dallas and Edmonton will lead that charge. Kind of see, could be a playoff preview going there on Thursday. For those matchups, Boston and Pittsburgh should really give you a good playoff preview hockey. Winnipeg visiting Carolina. The Battle of New York between the Rangers and the Isles. Toronto taking on Tampa Bay. Then you got Vancouver at Minnesota. Dallas at Calgary. I mean, Chicago at LA could be an interesting one for the Kings if Chicago just comes out and goes, you know what, we'll risk it for the biscuit and take it to the Kings. Even San Jose hosting St. Louis, that's not a really easy one either. So Thursday games are loaded with great matchups, trap games. That's a common terminology in college football. But it plays a key role here as well. Not taking an opponent, overlooking an opponent basically. So there's a few games in that scenario, and then on Friday you'll have Colorado at Edmonton. It'll be another huge matchup, and possibly an Western Conference final. I mean, that's a huge possibility there. And Saturday night hockey. The early matchups, not really much going there. Carolina will be taking on the Devils. That could be one of the games for them to take the lead. Then Boston hosting the Rangers. The battle of original 6 teams right there, jockeying for position. Then you got Nashville visiting Tampa Bay. Toronto at Florida. Vancouver at Calgary, which I probably could be Vancouver's last shot. And then the rematch between the Ducks and the Kings. And then Sunday, the Canes visit the Isles. And the Islanders look nothing but to spoil the Canes right there. Jacks play host to the Oilers. The Sunshine State battle between the Bolts and the Panthers. Toronto taking on Washington, D.C., Colorado visiting Winnipeg, Boston and Montreal. There'd be no love lost there between those two franchises. Minnesota visiting Nashville, and St. Louis at Anaheim. So those are some very key matchups coming up in this coming week. So we'll just kind of see how things kind of progress from there. We're going to go. There's my quick little synopsis going on, what happened this past week, and look what we could look forward to moving forward. Like I said, a lot of great matchups coming up. A lot of playoff previews. Teams fighting for the playoff lives. Some of them by the hair of my chinny chin have a shot to get in. They don't have much of a shot. Sorry, Jets fans. Then the Canucks might find themselves out too. But it's interesting to see where Vegas and LA kind of go from here. But hey, just let me know down below who you think is going to be the 2 wildcard teams. Who's going to be left out of the playoff picture out there in the West. Who's going to take the President's Trophy? Is it going to be Colorado? Is it going to be Florida? Who's going to lift the Stanley Cup afterwards at the end of the season? My predictions of Big Boston still there. We just have to see if that holds up true. But leave your comment down below. If while you're there, you can also hit that thumbs up once again. You can also share with your friends and family. And once you subscribe, hit that bell notification. Let you know next time I post a video. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.